Thank you for joining Of Two Mindsets. I am Dee Hill.
I'm RJ.
And our special guest, Eddie.
Special guest Eddie in the house today because we're talking on a subject that's so important. It's hard for just two mindsets to talk about it. We need a third mindset to come in and tell us a little bit about what he thinks on the issue.
All right.
So today, it's been a few days now, but all of you have probably heard about the murder, I'm calling it a murder, of Miss Atatiana Jefferson. She was killed in her own house, something that we've come to hear more about over the last few days. But basically, a neighbor saw that she had an open door to her house. It was late at night, and he called a non-emergency number for the police to come and do a welfare check on her. The policeman who was called to the scene went around her house, gun drawn, and looked in her back door, saw her coming towards the door, and did not announce himself as a policeman, and simply said something to the effect, "Show me your hands," and then within 1 second, he shot his gun through the door, killing her. And she was there with her nephew, from what I understand, playing video games. So, and not too long ago, last year, we saw the Amber Geiger case in which she was a policeman, but she was off duty, and went into Bolton John's house and killed him, which she said was a mistake. So, what do you guys make of this? Is there any justification to this new case where the policeman was somewhat justified to just shoot through the door? And I say that not trying to lead y'all either way, but we'll start with RJ. What do you think?
I think it goes back to what we talked about in previous podcasts. It goes down to training. I mean, these cops. I'm gonna give it to the training. I'm not gonna elaborate further, saying that it's because of race or whatnot, even though it could be. But these cops are just not trained correctly. I mean, they're scared. They're scared boys and girls out there with guns, supposedly protecting us. And I don't know a whole lot about this Tatiana case. I'll be honest with it.
Right.
But it fits the norm. You know what I'm saying? It's what always happens.
It seems that way.
It seems that way, correct. But
what do you say, Eddie?
I'll let Eddie expand on that.
To me, I don't think it's a training issue. I think it is, and I'm going to be frank and honest, I think they see black people as a threat. And once you are threatened by a black person, you want to take action against that person, whether they're in their home, vehicle, or anything. Because if I'm in my house and I don't know you there, how can I be threatening towards you where it has to justify you shooting me without me even knowing you there? I just think they see black people as a threat. And that's...
Maybe, maybe that goes back to what RJ was saying about the training, Yeah, maybe that person, that particular cop, sees black people as a threat and shoot first, ask questions later, it seems. But does this happen? Maybe it happens with black cops also. Do we see that with black cops?
I don't think it matters whether it's a white cop or a black cop.
Why?
I mean, because they're all trained the same way. They're like, well, to Eddie's point, if they see black, they react.
Okay, so is it racism, Eddie, if it's a black cop doing the same thing?
Well, I don't think it's comes more to the forefront, but as I look at it, I see when you have mass shooting suspects that get taken into custody and you have a black man that's running and gets shot in the back, it has to come down to some training that's a threat, because how can you take a guy that you know killed 4 or 5 people and take him into custody, but one man running away gets shot in the back 8 times? I just don't understand that.
No, I agree. So one argument could be each case is its own case. So, like you mentioned, the guy running and the policeman shot him in the back. Someone could argue and say that that cop was simply a bad or poorly trained cop, and that each case is its own issue within a larger, a macrocosm of things that don't happen badly all the time. But what would you say to that? Like, there's a few bad cops, but overall it's not that bad. That's not necessarily my opinion, but what would you say to that argument?
I agree with that. All cops are not bad. You have a couple that, like they say, if you put a rotten apple in a barrel, eventually the whole barrel becomes rotten. That's not true, but it just gives people that effect when they hear things like this.
I see you getting a little bit perturbed.
I don't think it's. I mean, I hate to label them all that way, but I think it's.
Well, today we don't have to agree. So tell us what's on your mind.
I don't want. I mean, you can say that there are a few good, a few bad, but their mindset is like you said is to react when you see black. Just I don't know if we're gonna say it was just a few bad apples, because if it was just a few bad apples, you would hear cops speaking out against them, saying, "Well, you're doing you're putting us in a bad light."
Okay.
But you don't hear that. You don't hear other cops talking about these particular cops in general, as far as saying that they did something wrong. You don't hear that.
Well, maybe the media doesn't give any coverage to that type of speech. Maybe there are cops out there, maybe, that want to say, we're not all like this, or speak against those who are doing bad. Recently, I heard about some whistleblower policeman who reported another higher level officer, and he was saying that he was saying racist stuff in the office and out and around. So maybe there are some policemen who want to speak up, and maybe there's that, what's it called, the Blue Shield, or
Blue Shield, yeah,
where it's like a union of minds, and it is a group think where if you speak against it, you're out of a job, or you're going to be blackballed.
You're ostracized, right? Yeah.
Ostracized, exactly. So there's that also. But I sort of lean towards what RJ was saying. How is it that it happens so often? Even if it happens just once a quarter, every couple of months is too much. But we hear about it all the time. And even if the media isn't giving coverage or whatever to the good cops, so-called good cops, the amount of times that we are seeing the negative stuff is too much. So I think that those people who call themselves good cops need to do more than what they're doing.
Right.
So, do you know any cops, Eddie?
I know quite a few cops.
Well, do they talk about, or do you talk to them about this, or have there been conversations?
I haven't really per se talked to any myself. I usually bring it up in general conversation about people that I feel comfortable talking to it about.
Yeah. And if we need those conversations. Maybe we need more communities asking the police to talk to us.
I mean, 'cause their job is dangerous, but no lie,
Yeah.
But you gotta kind of compartmentalize your where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Both of these happen in residential areas.
Right.
They're not out in the streets. They're not out patrolling.
Not just in residential area. They happen in the person's house.
Exactly.
In their domicile, where they live. And if you're not safe there, where can you be safe?
That's the thing that kind of is like, just throws you off there. They're not out somewhere in the streets patrolling.
And I hear people, even black people, say it was just an accident, or that both of them were can be forgiven to a certain sense, and that goes back to the training. If you're going to take that mindset, but I don't accept that myself, not at all.
I don't even.
No, it's inexcusable, and I think the police.
No, when you take someone's life, that's inexcusable. Yeah.
Right.
You
can't just forgive.
You can
someone's
forgive.
life.
You can forgive, but you got to pay the price.
Something has to change, right?
Right.
People aren't talking about changing anything.
No.
At least I'm not hearing it anyway. That something has to be changed. So, if you were about to say something, or no.
And we haven't talked since the Amber Geiger thing. Have we talked about that at all?
No, we haven't. What do you want to say?
Okay. I can understand the brother. Maybe he's kind of he's allowed to hug Amber Geiger if he wants to.
Absolutely,
he's allowed to. And that's his blood. That's his brother.
Yeah.
The judge and that bailiff. Oh my God, man! They both need to be fired. She needs to be dismissed from the bar right now. Yeah, I mean, you don't do stuff like that.
I agree. For me, it says maybe there was some favoritism, from her.
Most
her
definitely,
side.
yeah.
It's not a good look.
It's a terrible look.
Think that justice is slanted, Not that we didn't already think that, but when you see something like that,
if Amber Geiger was black, that judge would have been fired.
You think so?
Oh, no doubt.
I definitely think so.
And that bailiff. If Amber Geiger was black and she went up to her giving her a hug, like, if everything was reversed.
Yeah.
If everything was reversed. If Amber Geiger went to a white man's house, killed him, and everything happened out the same way, and so the judge gets there and the bailiff is stroking her hair. Come on, are you kidding me?
But you know what?
They probably be in jail. Not only fined, they probably be locked up for conspiracy or whatever.
I don't think too many people disagree with you on that. I think even the people who would give Amber Geiger some leeway would not disagree with you on that. But somehow it's just all right. You know what I'm saying? So a change is needed.
Which makes you wonder, what are these cops so afraid of? We love you. What are you afraid of?
It's okay to laugh.
What are they afraid of? You know what I'm saying? What are they so afraid of? What are they so afraid of when you go into someone's house that, so what are you afraid of? Black people aren't out here stalking white people. That's not happening.
Not that I'm aware of,
what are they so afraid of?
You have one-off crimes here and there with burglaries.
Right. I mean, you have criminals that are out there everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no grand scheme like, oh, okay, I see Whitey over there. We gonna get him. No.
So maybe there is something in the training.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But we've had our history with policing in this country in particular. There's always been animus, or they used to sick dogs on us when we would be out protesting and things of that sort. And why do you need dogs, to deal with protesters? It's actually, that was in the past, but that's one of the things that we see in the pictures when we look back in during the civil rights era and things of that sort. So it's like it's a continuous thing with black people here in the United States and police. And I hear you out there saying, well, if black people would just do right, you wouldn't have that problem. Come on. It happens to people committing crimes and people not committing crimes, as we've seen recently. So I would say, ask you guys, what can we do as a community to make things better, and what needs to happen with policing? Any thoughts on that, Eddie?
My thing is, I think more black people need to get in the career of police officer. We need to have our people out there, of course. I think if anybody can police our communities, it should be us more.
So, we're in the Atlanta area, and you live elsewhere, and most of, in Atlanta in particular, you're going to see mostly black policemen. Still, there are issues there. But that might be a solution. What do you think, Eddie? RJ?
Well, I think you're right. As far as but you're right about Atlanta. Atlanta, you see mostly black cops. I know I do. Downtown, wherever, you see most black cops. DeKalb County, wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably is not the case in places like Texas, in particular, where you have black communities, but they're policed by white or other cops.
So I guess the question is then, are we seeing not necessarily cops killing black people in the Atlanta area or places like it, but are there those complaints where it seems that they're mistreating black people more so than others in places like Atlanta?
I mean, I know in my state of South Carolina, we had numerous cop shootings on black men. I mean, I could think
unarmed?
Unarmed. In the back, and from where I'm from, we don't have many black police officers. Most of them are military white men. And then you take the mentality of, you're a threat and I'm a trained killer. That adds to the fuel right there. You have a trained killer that sees a threat. What is he going to do? He's going to shoot him. And that's how I feel about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, and when you take people from the military, they're trained to kill. So I guess it's hard to get out of that mindset if your job is still, you have a gun on your waist and you're told to make the people act right. So in so many ways.
I mean, you say trained to kill. I don't know if they're trained any differently than police. I mean, as far as shooting is concerned, I mean, they have a little experience in the military background. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're necessarily trained to kill, but
what
police
would be
is trained in similar fashion, I would say.
I got you.
As far as
military soldiers.
My suggestion, I thought a police officer was there to de-escalate the situation.
Well,
I don't see any de-escalation.
Right.
It's more take action and de-escalate later.
Right, because you got that term peace officer, right? Isn't that synonymous with police?
Peace,
right. So you're right. They're supposed to keep the peace, and that again, I think, lead back to training. They're not.
So you're saying
there.
Training as being the solution.
I believe so.
Well, give me an example of what you would change exactly with the training. Not that we know exactly what the problem in training is. I'm sure training doesn't say if a black person doesn't tell you what to do, shoot them. so what exactly, or if you could just give me a narrow example, what would you change?
I mean, they need, I think, maybe an advanced degree for starters.
What do you mean, a college degree?
Not necessarily a full 4-year college degree, but at least have some background in one in psychology, maybe criminology, something that helps them to understand,
so they need
society.
Some higher learning, and that'll make them less trigger happy.
I don't know if that'll make them less trigger happy, but I mean, they need help.
Go ahead.
To me, like I said, I think they see us as a threat, and when they see black people, they automatically assume that we're doing crime. Even if we're in our own house, we are doing a crime, and that's what triggers a lot of this to me.
So
until we can see each other as people instead of races or cultures or religions, I think we're gonna have this problem forever.
So are you saying there is no solution, or what? Just giving an attempt to make things better, what would be your first attempt at a solution, or first change you would make, given the option or ability to change things?
I think first of all, we need to they need a class to understand people are people. It's not about what you see, what you think, because an opinion could mess up everything.
Right.
I got you. I agree with that. You want to hear my wild solution?
Let's hear it.
It's the only thing that's going to work.
What?
You got to get rid of people as police and put robots as police. I think that's the only way it's going to change, because there's always going to be biases as long as people look different. So we need someone to get on making police robots, artificial intelligence. They don't have guns. You can't shoot a robot and kill it. So if the robot doesn't have any fear, it's not just going to shoot anybody. That's the solution. Robot police. Okay. Yes.
All right.
I'm serious. That's the only solution. Trust me. And once it happens, you're going to look back on this video and say, Dee Hill had it right. Watch it. It's not going to, we're going to keep complaining until then.
What?
It's not going to change until then.
Things can change. I remember my grandmother saying that there'd never be a black president in her lifetime, and there was. So
right.
It's anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's my solution. Anything else, guys?
Nah. No. We're beating a dead horse, and it
is a dead horse, absolutely. And
there
are gonna be more dead horses to come, unfortunately. Eddie, thanks for joining us today, man. How do you feel? What did you think?
It was nice show. I enjoyed it. I think we got some good points.
Okay, I think so too. So let us know what you think in the comments. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm serious about that. We need your support. And if we're doing anything wrong, let us know. Dee Hill.
RJ.
And
Eddie.
Special guest Eddie. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next time we decide to do this. Have a great day.